We must do better. Mankind must become better.
Hello, everybody. I just want to address you on something which is extremely important, which is that everybody has gone completely nuts. Let me see here. Here we go. So here we have an article, New U.S. aid to enable Ukraine to gradually push back Russians, Senator says. Jack Reed, the Senate Armed Services Committee, who surely has never left the United States, probably, and has no clue or is getting a huge amount of money from military industrial companies, is saying we have to send more aid to Ukraine because they can beat Russia. He may not be aware that Ukraine has lost about 500,000 troops, that the average age of a Ukrainian soldier is now 50, that U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham, who is another idiot, just went to Kiev and told them they should eliminate all age restrictions on Ukrainian men, boys, and elderly people going to the front line. So if you have a 6 or 8-year-old, are they going to be conscripted and kidnapped and sent to the front? Or people 75 or 80 years old? Who knows? This is really sick. And then you have the genius Emmanuel Macron, who is supposedly now sending 2,000 troops to Ukraine. This is complete madness. I don't think does Biden think that this will possibly get him reelected when the overwhelming majority of Americans do not believe we should send another nickel to the Zelensky regime, which is arguably the most corrupt regime in Europe, although we do own it, we and the British, and it is really the British and the British Empire who are the main beneficiaries of this and who have been trying to destroy the United States for the last 248 years or so, ever since our revolution. So we shouldn't go along with this insanity. We really are at risk of provoking a nuclear war. And I've been told by a friend of mine that there are studies going on at the Department of Energy to minimize the alleged danger of a nuclear war, that perhaps people can survive. I heard recently from Helga Zepp-LaRouche that there are new studies showing if we had a nuclear war, maybe only 20 million Americans would die. Well, why not? We certainly don't care if 1 or 10% of the population of Gaza dies of starvation under the Israeli bombing regime, which Joe Biden could stop with a single phone call. So this really has to change. What's the issue? The issue is that the majority of the world's population does not want to be subject to the billionaire banking club that King Charles calls Global Britain, or Klaus Schwab calls the Great Reset. People don't want to be part of that. They want sovereignty. They want economic development. They want to have their form of government. They don't like being dictated to by Joe Biden, who claims he's promoting democracy when you can't even have a fair election in the United States. Think about what independent candidates such as myself have to go through. 45,000 signatures in 6 weeks to get on the ballot in New York State, when the Democrats need 15,000 signatures and Republicans need 5,000 signatures. Look at what's happening with Bobby Kennedy Jr. and his efforts to get on the ballot in every state. Look at what's happening with former President Donald Trump. He's under, I don't know how many criminal indictments. They're trying to completely bankrupt him for things that are really not crimes, or if you wanted to call them crimes, you could be going after dozens of other people. So here we have political leaders claiming that the Russian elections were fraudulent. Well, I think they should remove the beam from their own eye before they try and point out the mote in someone else's eye. It's time for the United States to come to its senses. It's time for the American people to stand up and demand that we have free and fair and transparent elections. We should demand that our courts uphold the principle of truth and justice, and we should demand that our government upholds the principle of the general welfare. After all, that's why you have a government. It's supposed to make life better for its citizens. I'm Diane Sayre. I'm a LaRouche independent candidate for U.S. Senate in New York. Please sign up to support my campaign.